Happy Monday. Welcome, y'all. We are going over this week's new book releases on our regularly scheduled day and time. Success. I do have to admit, though, there are not as many books this week. I guess I was looking at the last week, which I thought this was the last week of March, or my anticipated releases. It is questionable when I said that on last week's video what I was looking at, because I have a lot of lists. I have a lot of lists going on right now. Oh well, though. We still have some exciting ones. One that I'm going to mention, even though I didn't enjoy it myself, but some people might. So we will get into all of that, though, starting now. Let's go ahead and start with the YA genre this week. We'll mix it up a little bit. The first one mentioned is going to be 3 Drops of Blood by Gretchen McNeil. It says a good girl's guide to murder meets Hitchcock in this novel from celebrated author Gretchen McNeil. Being an actress, Kate is no stranger to drama, and when her chance at a leading role gets canceled, she is willing to do whatever it takes to get her acting career back on track, even if that means getting a boring office job at her best friend's father's law firm, so she can prove to her parents she can support herself rather than going back to high school. Now see, that's where it became a really confusing point to me. How is that even an option? Now, rather than living life on the big screen, she is stuck filing mundane contracts and watching the people in the office across from hers live their equally boring lives. But when Kate sees things heat up between a woman and her assistant, her new source of entertainment takes a turn for the worse when she witnesses a double murder. Now, she must get anyone to believe her and find out who this mystery woman is to get answers. But as she learns more and more about the circumstances leading to the gruesome act, she begins to realize there is bigger mystery under the surface. In this voyeuristic thriller filled with twists and turns, can Kate get anyone to believe her before she becomes the next victim? So the cover was cool, that's what really got me. But reading this description, and it's from Disney Press, why does she sound like a teenager who didn't finish high school and gets a job at a law firm? I get it, she's just like a clerk, but still questions. We're gonna move on though. Just to suspend belief on some things, right? Yes, we can do that. The next one though, I read back in November maybe. And this is going to be The Witch and the Vampire by Francesca Flores. This is supposed to be a sort of Rapunzel retelling, but where it's a queer romance instead. And also, you know, obviously when there's witches and vampires. Let's see, who was our... okay, so which one was which? Right, okay. So Kay and Ava were both best friends. They live in this town village that's inside of a forest. In a kingdom though. But their job inside their town is to keep the vampires from getting out of the forest and infecting the wider world. Because like the other kingdoms don't have the problem with the vampires that theirs does. They kind of just like live in that forest. The bone forest? No. There's a bone shield that keeps them inside the forest, but they can break through sometimes. So they're trained very, very much from birth, the witches are. Also, witches are not okay outside of the kingdom. So the witches are protected in this kingdom because they are useful to fight against the vampires. And so here, they protect the bone wall by using their different types of magic. Kay is a witch. Well, both of them are witches. Ava and Kay are both witches when growing up from best friends from being very little. However, something happens and Ava is locked away in the tower of her parents' home. Well, her mother and her evil stepfather. Creepy, evil. And Kay does not know that. Kay thinks Ava was sent away. Yes, she believes Ava was sent away, but she notices sometimes a girl up at the tower. And as events play out on one tragic night, Kay discovers Ava is there and helps. No, doesn't help. They both end up in the bone forest though. She's chasing her down. She wants to get answers. She wants to find out what happened. And they have to make this bargain though, as vampires, of course, in the forest start attacking them. And they have to work together and work through their differences as, you know, things are discovered. And Ava just really wants her best friend back. She has grown up these past several years. It's like alone. And she thought Kay would be so happy to see her again. And that's not the case. And she can't understand why. And a lot of the problem here was communication. I decided not to read the description though, because it might give away too much. And it might have been a really weird description. But maybe you liked it better from me rambling from my memory. I didn't do a review for this one though, because I don't want to put it down, as I'm not the real target audience, not being a young adult, I guess. I don't know. We're going to move on though into regular fantasy now, and our first one is going to be The Lies of Ingenue. The Ingenue. Words. By Moses Otami. I swear I think I've heard his name said by other people, and I don't. Alright. It says it's a debut novella. Oh, that means it's probably going to be short. Alright, moving on. They say there's no water in the city of lies. They say there are no heroes in the city of lies. They say there are no friends beyond the city of lies. But would you believe what they say in the city of lies? In the city of lies, they cut out your tongue when you turn 13 to appease the terrifying Ingenue Empire and make sure it continues sending water. Tutu will be 13 in 3 days, but his parched mother won't last that long. So Tutu goes to his Oba and makes a deal. She provides water for his mother, and in exchange, he will travel out into the desert and bring back water for the city. Thus begins Tutu's quest to save for the salvation of his mother, his city, and himself. It says the book opens the curtains on a tremendous world and begins the epic fable of the forever desert. In every word, Moses weaves magic. He wasn't going to try to read saying it. So if it's a novella, I guess we are just going to get a glimpse of the world, but if we're getting a glimpse, and it's good, and this is only a novella, that means we need to have more. We need to have more, so I hope there's a follow-up to it. The next 2 fantasy books are both continuations of series. Well, one's a conclusion of a trilogy, but this would be Smolder by Laurell K. Hamilton, which is in the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series. It's an urban fantasy / romancy thing. It says, Vampire Hunter Anita Blake is no stranger to killing monsters. It's part of her job as a preternatural U.S. Marshal after all. But even her experience isn't enough to stop something that's bent on destroying everything and everyone she loves. So this is book like 20 in this series. I have no idea how far it's gone. I think the last one I read was 11, maybe. It was really good at the beginning though. Really, really good. I'll highly recommend it because she is a necromancer. So she can raise the dead and has powers over the undead, including the vampires that are, in the world. So being a necromancer, she's also a vampire hunter and hunts down rogue vampires. In this though, when vampires decided to come out to the wider public, in America, they kind of gained rights as citizens, like separate from citizens, but there are specific laws. So as long as, they're good, they don't kill people, they don't break the laws of any sorts of ways, they're treated as regular people. They're fine. They're still a little bit feared, but also there's the mystique, the draw of the vampire and everything. But yeah, otherwise they're treated as citizens. They even have a church. There's a vampire church. But for the rogue vampires, people like Anita will go and hunt them down. And so the first few books, it's all her doing her necromancer job or working with the police, because she is a consultant with the police, to help solve murders. It was awesome. I loved it. I stopped though when it did get to be too much of other things. Sure, it started to be a little bit less working with the police, but still fighting like monstrous bad guys, like a new big bad had come into town and started threatening the alphas, because there are shifters. There's a lot of shifters. But I can't read the actual description of this because it is so far into the series. But check out the beginning of it though. Definitely the first few books are really cool, for sure. Next one though is going to be a thriller, and the name is confusing because it would not sound like something that's going to be a thriller. And the description of it also slightly doesn't sound like something that's a thriller, but it might be. It seems to maybe. It's a crime thriller. It is called The Donut Legion by Joe R. Lansdale. Charlie Garner has a bad feeling. His ex-wife Meg has been missing for over a week, and one quick peek into her home shows all her possessions packed up in boxes. Neighbors claim she's running from bill collectors, but Charlie suspects something more sinister is afoot. Meg was last seen working at the local donut shop, a business run by a shadow group most referred to as the Saucer People, a space-age evangelist cult who believe their compound to be the site of an extraterrestrial second coming. Along with his brother Felix and a beautiful journalist, Amelia Scrappy Moon, Charlie uncovers strange and frightening details about the compound. Read massive doomsday storehouse, weapons, and a leashed chimpanzee. When the body of their key informer is found dead with his arms ripped out of his sockets, Charlie knows he's in danger but remains dogged in his quest to rescue Meg. Brimming with colorful characters and Lansdale's characteristic bounce, this rollicking crime novel examines the insidious rise of fringe groups and those under the sway of with black comedy and glints of pathos. Our last book this week is a romance, and this is going to be Infamous by Lex Croucher. She's also the author of Reputation that we got last spring, I want to say, in a book box. And this one, she writes a Regency era romance kind of, but flips it, gives it an air where women are more rebellious than your typical what you see in those books. Like in that one, they were drinking and partying. And this one, though, it says 22-year-old aspiring writer Edith, or Edie, Miller and her best friend Rose have always done everything together, from climbing trees and sneaking bottles of wine to excessive kissing practice. But Rose has started talking about marriage, and Edie is horrified. Why can't they continue as they always have? Then Edie meets charming, renowned poet Nash Nicholson, a rival of Lord Byron if he does say so himself. And he welcomes her into his world of eccentric artists and boundary-breaking visionaries. When Edie receives an invitation to Nash's crumbling Gothic estate in the countryside promising inspiration and time to finish her novel, A Long-Held Dream, she eagerly agrees. But the pure hedonism and debauchery that ensues isn't exactly what she had in mind, and Edie soon finds herself torn between her complicated feelings for Rose and her equally complicated dynamic with Nash, whose increasingly bad behavior doesn't match up to her vision of her literary hero. Will Edie be forced to choose between her friendship with Rose and her literary dreams, or will she be able to write her own happily ever after? That wraps up this week's list. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I've been informed about new stuff coming out and that you can put on your radar in your next TBR. If you're new here, hi, I'm Morgan, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. I have book reviews, unboxings, and vlogs like the readathon we're doing this month that you can check out and see if you like it. And if you do, please consider subscribing and joining us for all our future videos. I hope you're finding something awesome to read today, and I'll see you next one. Bye, guys.